Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Get Well, Live Strong. I'm so glad that you're here today because today we're going to break down one of the 6 habits that I talked about in the last video. And I think that you will be astounded like I was, and you'll know why that you really need to incorporate this into your daily life. And that habit is to walk immediately after your meals. And I have to tell you, honestly, when I first heard that, I thought it was a bunch of hooey because I was a runner, I was a cyclist, and I did both of those at long distances. And I thought for me to go out and to just take a stroll around the neighborhood after my meal was not going to do anything for me whatsoever. Well, I have to tell you, I was wrong. It helped me and it will help you. And we're going to talk about that today. So let's get right to it. When you get up from your dinner table or your lunch table or your breakfast table and you immediately walk outside and go for some gentle stroll for 10, 15, 20 minutes, it really does change your body. And in order to understand how it changes your body, I think we need to go back for just a minute or two and just kind of refresh all of our memories about how the body works to begin with. We have 3 types of food: protein, carbohydrate, and fat, and we eat those. And then our body makes them into glucose, which is the fuel for every cell of our body. Our pancreas secretes insulin, which is a hormone that's kind of like the truck that drives the glucose to the cells, and it feeds the cells. And it does that every single meal. Every time we take in food, it takes it out to the cells and fuels the cells. That's by God's design. And it's a marvelous thing that happens in our bodies. But what's happened, and the cog in the wheel, is that so many of us have been on the standard American diet for so long that we have become insulin resistant. And what insulin resistant means, kind of in a nutshell, very simplified explanation. You've taken in so many carbohydrates, more carbohydrate than your body could ever need or ever consume or ever use or ever burn as energy. And so your pancreas has secreted so much insulin to try to deliver that to the cells, which that's what it's supposed to do. And your cells get bigger and bigger and bigger and fuller and fuller and fuller. And finally, your cells just say, stop, no more. I cannot take any more. And so this insulin is like a truck that is full of merchandise, and it goes to the warehouse to deliver it, and it can't deliver it. And so it's just like driving around the neighborhood, driving around the body with this full load of glucose with no place to deliver it. And when that happens, that is the start of insulin resistance. And your body, your cells, every cell is starting to resist the insulin. Well, I can't take any more glucose. And so with all that going on inside your body and all that insulin filled with glucose is trying to deliver and it can't, your body gets irritated. And because of that, it gets inflamed. And when that happens, by design, your body secretes a steroid hormone called cortisol because it perceives that that inflammation is an emergency situation. And so that just starts this horrible cycle in your body. You've got too much glucose, too much. And so what happens is the cortisol, when it's an emergency situation, it has really one job. And that one job is survival, to protect you, to cause you to survive. And it does that by protecting your vital organs with one of 2 kinds of fats in your body, and that's visceral fat, which is a fatty layer like bubble wrap that surrounds your vital organs. And so that's why you have the buildup of fat especially in your midsection here. And that's why you cannot lose that fat, because your body is still signaling that you have an emergency. But hopefully you've made a change in your life and you are now eating a more human appropriate diet, which is a high protein, low carbohydrate, and normal fat intake diet. And because of that, your body is starting to realize that, okay, I'm not in that emergency situation anymore. And so where you are now, you're eating those proper meals. And now we're going to put in one new habit, and that is walking immediately after meals. And so I'm going to teach you today why that is so important. The very first reason that you should walk immediately after your meals is because it stimulates your digestive system. When you take that gentle walk, that normal movement, it actually just promotes that normal movement of your digestive tract, and which it can reduce bloating, and it can help your food move along more efficiently. So that's why a leisurely walk is ideal, but not vigorous exercise. And we're going to come back to that in just a few minutes. But your digestive tract just starts moving in such a glorious way, the way that God intended for it to happen. And when immediately after you eat, here's what happens. Your blood sugar starts to rise, and the glucose enters your bloodstream. The blood sugar naturally starts increasing. That happens after every single meal. And that's the way that it's supposed to work. But if you stay seated after that meal, then what happens is your blood sugar often rises higher than it is supposed to, and it stays elevated longer than it's supposed to. Your pancreas senses the rising blood sugar, and it releases more insulin. The insulin's job is to take that to the cells. Well, when your cells respond well, the glucose moves into the muscles and the other tissues, and they're used as energy. But when someone has insulin resistance, those cells don't respond well, and so the pancreas has to produce, it thinks it needs to produce more insulin to get the same job done. But when you're walking, that changes everything. Everything. Because the moment you start walking, your leg muscles, which are the largest muscles in your body, they begin contracting, 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 contracting. And those muscle contractions actually create another way for the glucose to enter the muscle. Instead of going through the normal path of the glucose going into the bloodstream, the pancreas are creating the insulin takes it through the bloodstream, out through the body, and then out to the muscles and out to every cell. Instead of relying on insulin, it relies on the muscle contraction pathways that brings immediate fuel, the glucose, to the muscle while it is contracting. And so because of that, the glucose that you've just taken in with your meal that's the most readily available glucose, and it literally just moves it, redirects it right out to your muscles, so you have less glucose in your bloodstream. So it helps keep your blood sugar level down, and therefore it keeps your insulin level down. And over time, it can actually bring all of those into normal range, even if you have type 2 diabetes. When all of that happens, then you don't have too much glucose running around in the insulin throughout your body. There's less of it being stored as fat, and that actually causes your fat to start decreasing. It decreases that sense of emergency, and your inflammation starts going down, and over time your body fat, you're not making new body fat, and your body fat is decreasing. It's an amazing, amazing thing. And another thing that happens, as recent research has suggested, is that regular light activity like this walk that I'm suggesting can actually reduce post-meal triglyceride levels, which over time will really benefit your heart health. And what happens is that it can cause your triglycerides to go down to a healthy level, and it can bring your HDL cholesterol up to a healthy level. And that ratio between your high HDL cholesterol, which they call the good cholesterol, and your triglycerides should be about even, somewhere close to a 1-to-1 ratio. That's what you're aiming for. And just that simple walk after your meals can really help with that. Another thing that happens when you do that, when you take that walk right after your meal, it increases your circulation. You know, you have better oxygen delivery and the nutrient transport throughout your entire body. And that results over time with your muscles, your heart, your brain, other tissues of the body benefiting by that increased blood flow. It's an amazing thing. And so if you were to start today, and you say, okay, after my meals, I'm going to just take a walk. Maybe you can't do it for every meal. Maybe you got to rush out the door, go to work, take the kids to school, whatever it may be. Maybe you can only do it for your dinner. Then okay, do it at your dinner time. If you do that consistently day in, day out, then what's going to happen over time when you have implemented that habit and you do that in your life? You're going to have increased blood sugar control. You're going to have increased insulin sensitivity. You're going to have better weight management. You're going to have very much better metabolic health. You're going to have better cardiovascular health. You're going to have better digestion, and you're going to have better energy levels. So many people ask, how long should I walk? Well, 10, 15 minutes. You can start with that. A 10 to 20 minute at an easy pace is pretty like optimum, I think. Even 2 to 5 minutes immediately after your meal is better than sitting down or getting in your recliner chair. For people over 50, a short walk after a meal is not just exercise, it's helping your muscles soak up that glucose and reducing the demand for insulin, supporting your digestion and giving you metabolism, helping your body work every day. So you may be sitting there and you're saying, well, you know what, Reba, I'm like you. I'm a runner, cyclist. I go to the gym, so why would I need to walk? Why can't I just go out for a run? Well, there's a very good reason for that. Because what happens when you do intense exercise right after eating? That's the exact opposite of what you're trying to achieve. If you go for a run, let's say, after your meal, immediately after your meal, then you are activating the exact opposite system of what you're wanting to activate. Because when you run, it activates that the same system that is for fight or flight. It secretes the adrenaline. You're doing your run. And then after the end of the run, then it secretes the noradrenaline to bring it back down to normal. That's not what you want to do here. You're trying to burn fat. You're trying to have your body do the things that it's supposed to do under normal circumstances. And so that's why a walk is much better after your meals, or getting on your bicycle and riding it, getting your heart rate up to, like your max VO2 or whatever. You don't want to do that. Just a nice leisurely walk for 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes after your meal is ideal. One of the things that I do, it's interesting because at my evening meal, as soon as I put the last morsel of food in my mouth, my dog jumps up, heads for the door, because he knows that we're immediately going for a walk, and he knows that. And so just that walk around the community with him stopping to sniff and all the new smells, and being able to just walk and visit with the other dogs and talk to the other dogs, and walking for about 20 minutes. Usually takes about 20, 25 minutes for me to do all that. That is what you're aiming for. And you know what? Even if you have physical limitations, you are on a walker, you have limited mobility, you can still do that. Walk to the degree of your limitations. And even if you can't walk at all, just some gentle movement with your arms, maybe bending your torso back and forth, just some kind of movement, for 10 or 15 minutes. You see, I'm not doing this fast. I'm not weightlifting. I'm just moving my body. That's what you're looking for. You need to do that. It's best with your legs. If you don't have use of your legs, if you can't walk for distances, okay, do what you can. And if you just walk around your living room, you can't go out, maybe there's snow on the ground, maybe it's uneven ground and you're unsteady, it's okay. Just move what you can. Move what you can. Walk around your house. If you have to walk with a cane, walk with the cane. It's okay. And just do that and do it consistently after every single meal. And if you do that and you develop the habit, 30 days from now, you're going to notice an amazing difference. You will be astounded. So I hope that you take this in. I hope you understand better why this crazy thing that Reba told you to do really does work. Even though I was a doubting Thomas, and maybe you are too, it does really work. So I hope that you take it to heart. I hope that you take action on it, and I hope that you incorporate that in to your daily routine. Whatever meal, hopefully all meals, it works best for you. But if not, do as much as you can. And if you like this content, would you hit the like button? Could you help me get this message out? So many people need this. So if you find this content valuable, would you share it with other people, your loved ones, your friends, your coworkers, so that they can benefit from this as well? And if you don't want to miss the next video or any of my future videos, please subscribe so that you don't miss it. I would really appreciate you doing that. So I'll see you on the next video. But until then, get well, live strong. God bless.